Hey there, animal lovers. Alex Deo here from Furthest from the Wild. Thank you for joining today's podcast. We have a very special guest today. His name is Tim Harrison. He is the founder and director of Outreach for Animals. He is also known for the documentary The Elephant in the Room. He's also been working on a new documentary called The Conservation Game. So if you'd like to hear more, stay tuned where we talk about the documentary, among other animal welfare issues going on in today's world. All right, and we are rolling. How are you, Tim?
Doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's been a few weeks since we've seen each other. What have you been up to?
Oh, I've been doing it's kind of wild because I'm helping out with some projects with Harvard
Yeah?
University. Did some stuff with that, and I think down the road we're gonna have a panel on that. And there's an attorneys guild in New York City, of a guild of attorneys that work for animal welfare.
Okay.
I'm helping them out with a project. They're doing a webinar. They're going to be doing on sent them a PowerPoint for them to use on for a program they're going to do for the Big Cat Public Safety Act and some other things. So
Oh, good.
did that, and then getting ready to go to Washington D.C. tomorrow morning
Wow.
to do a little lobbying, but also show the film, the conservation game, to some politicians and some media people there, closed just to them, and then do a panel thing after that.
Right.
And then lobby a little bit more the next day, and then we'll be headed back here for a few days of just playing with my grandkids, hopefully.
That's good. That's good. Well, for those who haven't heard about the documentary you're working on, tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, the conservation game is finished, and we had it all set. It was a documentary based on finding out what happens to those ambassador animals that your favorite conservationist has on their laps when
Yeah.
they go on major TV shows or have VIP parties at
Sure.
zoos, where people will pay lots of money, up to $1,500, to spend an afternoon with a snow leopard, an endangered species, or an Amur leopard or something like that. And what happens to these animals after their expiration date, when they get to a point where they're too big to be handled anymore?
Sure.
What happens to them? And people had a tendency to believe that they went back to AZA accredited zoos and that they came from those zoos. And no, that was farthest from the point.
Right.
I knew this over the years, but I needed some assistance, some funding to be able to show, and a good team that we put together to be able to prove and show that these individuals are not true conservationists. They're actually doing damage
Right.
to conservation, and also that these animals have a tendency, a majority of them have a tendency to die before the age of 2.
Oh.
So that means that right before some of their exploration dates are up, they're dead.
Right.
So we found this out during the investigation, and we wanted to prove to people that, they were asking the questions all the time. Everywhere I went, Tim, why come I didn't see them at the Columbus Zoo? Why didn't I
Right.
see the snow leopards there? Well,
Yeah.
they're not there, even though Jack Hanna said that on the national TV show. Oh, yeah, they go back to Columbus Zoo. Columbus Zoo is where they're at. No, they're not. So we just went ahead and had an investigation. We had Michigan State University, Carney and Nasser,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Garcia, and she was works with, as you know, as a well-known attorney and
Yeah.
animal activist. Her and I have worked together in Nevada. We just had a big win in Nevada again
That's great.
with the Oregon Tigers. Just kept them out of state of Nevada, so we're pretty happy with that just a few weeks ago.
Amazing.
And she's also an individual that's got a lot of compassion for these animals because she sees
Right.
what happens to them.
Right.
And her and her law students, Michigan State University Law School behind us, we had the legal backing for our team to be able to send out paperwork and writs and papers of informational act papers to locations and states, which we ended up getting. As you know, being involved with this world, you're not going to get anything back in most of them because they don't want you to know what's going on
Right.
in their state.
Right.
But they did a great job of setting things up and helping us out that way. Then we had Keith Gadd, a national park ranger and a federal investigator. He was also part of our team. Russ Muntz, who worked with me at the city of Oakwood as a police officer, firefighter, paramedic, an excellent investigator, law enforcement investigator. And with us as a team, we had Jeff Kramer. Jeff Kramer was like a forensic internet investigator. He's one of
Wow.
the best in the country.
That's
He
amazing.
also was the one that devised a way of looking at tigers by their stripes and lining them up on the computer systems,
Right.
and you can actually, each one's like a fingerprint.
Yeah.
So you can tell a cub when it's grown up.
Yeah.
So you can follow these animals along the way of the pain and suffering they went through, from their cub state of being loved, ambassador animal. Everybody loves them. All the actors and actresses, Ellen and everybody are holding them, to where they end up at that's like one ended up at a motorcycle rally in Baltimore,
Oh boy.
in a lobby. So it's one of those situations where we were able to get a team together,
Yeah.
and with Mike Weber at the helm as the director, as he was with The Elephant in the Living Room,
Yeah.
one of the first ones I
Another
did
great film.
with him, and we were able to put together a quite crossing the T's, dotting the I investigation, where we dead bang catch everybody at what they're doing.
Wow.
And I'm asking them the whole time, please help me. Help me find these. You're the last one seen with them.
That's amazing.
Please help me. But little did I know, Alex,
Yeah.
that those snow leopards are more endangered sitting on Jack Hanna's lap than they are by poachers in the wild.
Really. Really. Now I hear that the snow leopards are very prone to to illness, right? Is that correct?
Yes, they're fragile.
They're very fragile
And the
animals.
one thing, fragile animals, and the one thing too, they stress easy.
Mm.
And that's another thing people don't read out.
Right.
And, as I found out during the investigation, we got a lot of education during the investigation. There's things I knew,
Sure.
and there's things I got really surprised about. It's worse than I thought it was. And that even makes it worse. Here I am, a law enforcement, a human animal advocate. I'm 65 years old.
Right.
I've been doing this for over 47 years. I got surprised
Yeah.
about how nefarious this world is and how connected the Joe Exotics, the animal dealers, the Grant Kimmerers are with our favorite conservationists that are teaching your children about what to do with wild animals.
So it's basically just a front for them to continue, breeding these animals and profiting off of them. Essentially, that's the long game for them.
Yes, yeah, it's a profit game. It's all profit game. Once they're done with them, they dump them.
Right.
And they even call them one of the wordings that they send out on their paperwork is zoo surplus.
Mm.
Zoo surplus. They're endangered animals.
Yeah.
Zoo surplus. And they call the term dumping all the time. We're
Sure.
going to dump this animal. We're going to get rid of it.
Right.
We're done with it. It's like I say, they have expiration dates. As soon as they're done, they're gone. And stop and think about it. How
Yeah.
many of them have been people's laps or have been TV shows or been at the zoos, passed around,
Sure.
that there's been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, literally. We looked at 300 to start with. We narrowed it down to 30 within the last five or 6 year period that before our investigation started, that we knew could potentially still be alive right now.
Wow.
And it was just horrible because we're going through this, and Russ Muntz is one of he's been a hardcore law enforcement paramedic, seen it all, firefighter. We're going through this, and this is not on the film, but Russ says, "What about the rest of them?
Yeah.
What about the rest of them?" And he's got tears in his eyes. I said, we could only narrow it down to 30 that we could possibly get any data about or even follow up on.
Right.
The rest of them are lost. And you go to Nepal, like I've been, Nepal, tiger projects in India, all these countries, they know where their endangered species are. We don't.
Right.